Hi guys. Oh shit, this the stream chat just stopped working there. It might be because it actually reloaded, so if you type now, it should probably pop up. But hello everyone, and welcome to a stream by me, I guess. I haven't been streaming for a really long time, so I did like a quick time there in Japan, but nothing significant. So this stream is going to be about ARMS at EVO Japan. I felt like I wanted to stream other games and maybe ARMS, but then looking back it felt really weird because there's been so much that has been happening the last 2 weeks, both for, you know, fellows in ARMS, but also for ARMS in general. You know, EVO has been the biggest tournament that we've had so far. So I had a list of stuff that I wanted to talk about, and I'm going to upload this VOD later on onto YouTube as well. So I think we'll just get started. I'll just type on Twitter that I'm live here, so people can get in and listen if they want to. And of course, this is going to be a discussion too, so I'll you know, talk about my thoughts first, but then at the end, please you know, write me questions or opinions that you think I didn't bring up, or maybe something I missed, because that could happen too. So and then a quick link. No, I'm not gonna post my stream link there. That's going to be real bad. If I tweet out my stream link, that was close. Okay, cool. So yeah. Alright. Let's see, are people here in the chat? Say hello in chat if you're here. That would be appreciative, so I can talk to myself, you know? I've done that. That's like the first months of me streaming, but it would be nice to see if there's actually anyone here. Cheese sandwich. Hey, Fidget. Alright, okay, people are here. Okay, where's the list of stuff? Alright, so this talk is going to be sectioned into 3 big parts, basically. Before EVO, during EVO, and after EVO. Originally, I was thinking that I was going to, you know, bring up the good and bad about EVO, but I felt like that would be such a huge list that I had to kind of categorize it a bit. So, first of all, before EVO, so I feel like I kind of want to explain my perspective of EVO and what that was supposed to be for me, or what I wanted it to be for myself. So when EVO got announced with ARMS, I think it was late summer last year. I didn't even have the Fellows in ARMS team, I think, when it got announced, or maybe we just barely began, just as a crew. And so it got announced, and for me, ARMS, like, I went into ARMS because I wanted to be a community figure in the game. Like, that was one of my intentions before I came into this game, was that I'm going to be a big community figure. So it's like, I don't know, I just got the Switch and the game just for that purpose. So I had been streaming other stuff and I've been working on other stuff, but I wanted to kind of test myself and see how far that I could get in a community, because I've been in competitive communities before. So when EVO got announced for ARMS, it was a really nice opportunity where I could just look at something that was really far away and say to myself, okay, that's my goal. I'll be a caster at EVO, and that's a big goal, and it's kind of an unrealistic goal because I'm not a famous caster. So, but it was a goal that I had, that I wanted to be the caster at EVO, because that's, you know, where you get most exposure for this game. So I didn't even want, like, originally I didn't even plan on playing in EVO. I just wanted to be the caster of EVO. So that was why I have been doing the things I've been doing up until now. I've hosted about like 5 tournaments, I think. And I've been casting tournaments on other streams like Akiosho or Scrim's streams, and for the sole purpose that I wanted to practice in case I would become the caster of EVO. So, I've been looking through all of the tournaments in ARMS. I've been casting a lot of them. I've been re-uploading VODs. I've been looking at all the streams, even Japanese streams, just to kind of learn how everybody plays, why they're playing like they're playing, and so I could explain that as well. So I don't know if that's been noticing, but I've actually been like studying so hard about these things, just because the end goal was that I wanted to be a caster at EVO. Okay, so now you know that. Moving on to the next thing was that EVO for me was something that was a really big thing, but in time it was something that shrank as we got closer. Like the actual it was a really huge thing for the community, right? But as we got closer to it, it just shrank and shrank. My expectations of it rather shrank and shrank, because it was just bad news one after another that came out the closer we got to the actual event. So in the beginning, EVO, ARMS at EVO, it's going to be this huge thing, and we're gonna have stages and players are going to be there, and there's going to be oh shit, I forgot I had the sound for that. Thanks for the follow. There was going to be stages and shit for that, and it was such a, it was a huge thing, like, holy shit, and I can be a part of this if I just try my best. So, but then, the first announcement, the big bad news that was that only the top 4 games, participated games, would be on the actual finals day, and that looked so bad for ARMS, because it was one of those games where it's just like, you could just see it from the beginning of the pre-registration a couple of months ago, where it was like, I think Street Fighter had like 600 or 800 players already signed up, and ARMS had like 100. So it was like really clear that ARMS was not going to be one of those games. So it just there was like, okay, shit, so it's not gonna be on the actual finals day. Like, okay, crap. And then moving closer to it, I applied for to be the caster of ARMS. I didn't just want to be. I didn't want that to be just a goal, I actually wanted to set that in motion, so I contacted them through their form, first in English, and just send an application, a long application, just as you do with jobs, And then with the help of my girlfriend, who is Japanese, we translated that into Japanese, and I reapplied again. Also, I'm seeing your text here in the chat, Ostrom, and I'll be answering stuff afterwards, so if you want to, you could just DM me all of that stuff that you wrote to me now. Just copy-paste that, because it might fall away in the chat if people keep writing, but I'll make sure to answer that when I get to the end, because I have like a list of stuff that I need to go through. So, on top of that, it was not going to be on the first day, or it was only going to be on the first day. And then, okay, I applied in Japanese and got some responses, and the responses were basically like, okay, that sounds good, we need to contact the American team and see if you can be the caster, 1 email per week kind of thing. And then I got the question if I DM via Discord works, and then I got the question if I could do it voluntarily. Basically saying, if you want to get paid for being a caster at EVO, then you're probably not gonna get it, So I just said, yeah, sure, I'll just do it for free. Like, I don't care, I just want to do it, right? And hi Scrims, nice to see you too. I've been watching your streams actually now when I've been in Japan, but now finally back in Sweden. So, okay. Wait, let me actually just turn down the brightness of that. So, what I wanted to say with that was that the actual communication seemed like the people in charge of ARMS or EVO in itself just didn't know what they were doing, because a lot of the things that they said, like in the end they said, I think some week before ARMS, they said we have casters for like English casters for ARMS, but we have no idea who they are. Like even that thing was just like, okay, well, you know, I've been applying for I applied like 3 months before the event, and then the rule sets were really crap. Like they announced really like super late what the actual rule set was going to be. I think it was the last one. It was actually released in Japanese a couple of days before the English one as well, which like all of these details just made me think like, holy shit, they don't have like, they're not really collected of what they're doing. They're just like putting things out as soon as they get them, but they don't really know, like they don't have a schedule or plan. Like they don't have anything. It seemed very erratic, like what they were doing. So as we got closer to the, oh yeah, even the tickets, like tickets for the last day, they were announced in Japanese for Japanese people, but half of the people going to the event were not from Japan. So it was like, okay, so how do I get the ticket? What is the ticket for? Like nobody knows. And then they announced the tickets like 2 weeks before the announcement or before the event. And you know, by then, like I hope most of the people had already, you know, booked flights, booked hotels and shit. Like you can't have an international tournament where the details of the tournament and event itself is appearing like a week before the actual thing. Like it's such a, like, I don't know, it was making me really frustrated, and it made me feel really shitty and stressed out, because not only have I had this as a dream of being the caster of EVO, but you know, I developed a team in ARMS up until this point, and I was, you know, getting people to go to this event. I was you know, I was talking to Meow's parents over Skype and being like, okay, your 15-year-old boy wants to go to Japan, like I'm a real person. And you know, they went with it and was like, yeah, sure, let's go to Japan. Like I didn't sponsor anyone to go, but I convinced a lot of people to go to this event. So for me, I felt really shitty when the event was being handled so poorly, and I was like responsible for like getting people to actually get motivated and go. So before the actual event, I was like the 2 weeks up before the event, I was feeling really bad, like about the entire thing. You know, I was just really stressed out about everything. And I had the G7 tournament 2 weeks before it. And then I left, I came to Japan a week before EVO. So 2 weeks before that, I had a tournament on the weekend. The first 2-day tournament, online ARMS tournament. And so, yeah, okay, so this is all the stuff that is going on before EVO, right? And the next part is going to be during EVO, and the last part is going to be after EVO. So the last part that was happening before EVO was that I made a trailer about EVO Japan that was... it was actually the day before I left for Japan. So I had one evening, and it like I didn't have a choice, you know. The entire last week I was uploading VODs for G7, and then like the last day I was like, okay, I really want to make this trailer for ARMS. I've been thinking about it for like a month, but I couldn't really nail the thought about it. And then I heard this that song, what is it, My Hero Academia, the My Hero Academia song, and I heard that and I was like, shit, I know exactly what I'm going to do. So I made this EVO Japan trailer in 5 hours, and I was so fucking proud, you know. I made this like really hype, overproduced trailer. Like, sure, there's a lot of things that I want to improve with it, but I made the entire thing in like freaking 5 hours, in one sitting. a day before I went to Japan. So when I uploaded it, and you know, people were saying like, no, why do we really need this? Or, you know, the voice is kind of boring. I don't really like this. And one Reddit comment was like, yeah, you should have used another song. I was like, fucking hell, man, I did this in 5 hours. You know, me being stressed out and feeling bad about the entire event was just like, it was really hard. You know, yeah, I saw what you wrote there, Screams, about feeling proud. I think I'm proud that I got the Fellows in Arms member together to go to Japan, but I feel okay about what the stuff that I did. I feel like I could do so much more if I actually got the chance to do it. Yeah, that was basically, you know, that was everything that happened before EVO. And there were a lot of things that happened during EVO, like during the actual day, that was so it was questionable, basically. And it's something that you couldn't see on stream. I know that there were several streams, and there were actually a Japanese stream throughout the day, which was really hype. It was really nice. I could see Omega Pen and the others, you know, sitting there huddled up. But the actual there was a lot of things that were very questionable when it came to the actual tournaments. So first thing that both me and Hanukkah noticed when we went into the event was that you know, you came into this mall, went up to the 4th floor, then there was like some kind of you know, staircase. You went up through it, and then there was a line outside. So you lined up to get into the event, and then in the event you just I don't think they even had anything online there. Like, there was a lot of people there, officials or admins or whatever, and they just asked you like, what game have you signed up for? And I just said, well, I signed up for ARMS. And then they were like, okay. And then they just pointed at a table, and then there were like badges, you know, that you could write your name on and stuff. So you just grabbed one of those, went into another room, and then you signed your name on it. Like, there was no like, you know, stamping in or like, okay, I've checked in. It's just like, okay, get a piece of paper, put this thing around your neck, and go in and, you know, play. So there was no official check-in for the entire tournament, which made that there were a lot of DQs in this tournament. I know that people said that people won, that they put DQs in manually when people were winning and stuff like that, because maybe they weren't used to Smash.gg, but there were a lot of people that didn't show up, and that was, you know, that was kind of expected. I mean, Akiosho was signed up, and he had decided 2 months prior that he wasn't going, so, you know, they could have saved a lot of time if they had an official check-in somehow, so they could just skip this entire thing. Because what happened when the actual tournament begun was that there were like an hour and a half of, you know, you wait, or an hour up to an hour and a half of people waiting for their opponents and, you know, getting a DQ win. It was like the online tournaments that ARMS has had. So, and their original reason for having like best of ones was that they wouldn't have enough time, but they spent so much time on like DQing people because they didn't have a check-in. So it was like, you know, if they had a check-in, then I could have been fine with we'll have best of ones. But they didn't have that, so they spent like a shit ton of time of trying to get people checked in manually, you know, shouting their names, which Hanukkah was helping them with because they couldn't pronounce the names. So that thing was really odd. And the administrators, like the admins for the ARMS tournament in itself, it felt like they didn't really know the game. They basically, like, it felt like they've seen the game once, and then they've had like a, you know, what was it? Like, they've had some kind of presentation the day before, like, okay, 5 minutes, this is how ARMS works. But there was a lot of things that were kind of you know, I didn't feel like they could understand what the game was about, and none of them spoke English, so none of the admins actually we couldn't communicate properly with them because none of them spoke English. There was one guy who spoke English, a Japanese guy, but he wasn't even a volunteer. He was just a guy that was there in a jacket and was trying to help people. And me and Hanukkah were trying to help others as well. I think Jor, yeah, you know, like everyone that knew a bit of Japanese was trying to help out the actual, you know, official team. So, yeah, okay, so moving on, I was there, you know, and when I got to Japan, Ku actually messaged me on Twitter saying, hey man, you can still be the caster, even though 1 week before the actual officials said, you know, we have English casters, so you can't be one. And then Ku said, you know, they don't have any casters, you can be a caster. So I was getting hype again, but I never got any message from them. So I just decided, okay, I'll just go and talk to them at the actual event. So I went up to the Japanese people. They had no idea what I was talking about. They had a Japanese stream and didn't even know that there was an English stream. They were just like, I guess it's on Twitch. I don't know what Twitch is. So they just pointed me in the direction of where Twitch was, which was like in the corner of this building. So I had to go like, you know, to 3 different people and like, okay, where's Twitch? Where's the Twitch people? Where can I talk to them? Okay, they pointed me in a direction, go in another direction, and then finally there was this like table of where they had the streams. It looked like they were setting up the casters there for other games. And there were like 5 guys that were standing in front of this that kind of looked like executives. But that's, you know, the image that they had. Some of them were dressed in suits, and they had Twitch shirts on. So I just went up to them, and it was so weird. Like, it was the most kind of awkward thing I've had in a long time, because I went up to them and just... And none of them were Japanese, by the way, so it wasn't like I was saying anything weird. I just went up to them and said in English, you know, hey guys, do you know anyone who is in charge of the Twitch streams, or do you know who I could talk to about the Twitch streams? And every one of them, there was just 5 guys that stood together, and every one of them was just like standing with their arms crossed like this and looking back at me. And like dead silent. And I was just like, okay, I don't know what, if I'm making them upset or something, but I just said like, oh, well, I just have some questions. Does anyone know who it is? And then one of the guys just said, yeah, what do you want? I was like, okay, no introductions here. And then I just said, I was like getting really nervous then as well. I just said, well, I heard from a community member that there were casters missing for ARMS, and I'm a community member who has been applying to become a caster, so I'm just wondering if that's sorted out or if there's anything I can do to help. And then they just all looked at me, and then one of the other guys said, yeah, it's taken care of. And then like nothing else. No, like, you know, okay, thanks for, you know, trying to help or anything. It was just like, yeah, we're good. And then they just stared at me and then like went back to their conversation, and I was just like, well, I tried. I'm not sure what the point of them being so hostile was, but that's like, if I ever meet those people again, I'm going to have such a bad... First impressions are so important, and I hate when people do that. Like whenever I meet a new person, I always try to be nice to them, even I have no idea what they want, you know. So that sucked, and the tournament hadn't even begun then, so I was kind of like, fuck, okay, that felt bad. So I went back to the ARMS area, and it was pretty much chaos in that area. It was just so many people running around. The administrators were trying to find the players, but they couldn't. Players didn't even know what they were supposed to do. Yeah, so the actual problems with the setups was that so they weren't playing split screen, which some people were wondering. They didn't play split screen. You had 2 setups on opposite sides of 2 tables, and then they had connected the switches of what is it, the Wi-Fi mode, where you're playing in the same Wi-Fi connection, but not actually LAN, you know. So that was weird because there was lag in games, and I know that people were, you know, saying on Twitter, hey, I saw lag in the finals, or I didn't see lag in finals, and you shouldn't complain about lag. But when we were actually playing, I could see, because I was standing behind a lot of the players and seeing their games, you know, I could see their hands and what they were doing, and I could see what was happening on screen, you know, really clearly. And in one of the games, I remember in the game, the match where Hanukkah, the elimination match for Hanukkah, was that he did specifically like one or two times, he tried to grab the other player, and the grab just went straight through the other player, and like everyone behind us, or like everyone behind him, like reacted like, what the fuck was that? But no one wanted to disturb him. But it was such a like clear, like one of those when you play online and you're like, ah, fuck, this guy is lagging so bad, and you got that feeling at the actual place, and it was like, ah, fuck, okay, well. And it wasn't going well for Hanukkah in that game either, and then like getting 2 grabs straight through a player was just like shit. And so the setup, they changed it. Originally it was best of 1 up until top 16, but then I made this tweet where I just basically blasted the EVO and said that this is shit, and they've just copy pasted Nintendo's rule set. So like, what's wrong with them? So which was good because they actually changed it. Like, a lot of people liked and retweet that tweet, and people were tagging the executives, so we actually got the word out to them, and they changed it so that it was, instead of single elimination best of 1 up to top 16 with random stages and the name redacted included, it changed to double elimination best of 1s up to top 32, and then players could ban 3 stages each, and then have random select between the stages that were left. And then they banned cinema, name redacted, and what's the third one that's always banned? Wait, cinema, name redacted, and there's always a third one. Sorry, shit. Now I kind of want the help from the chat, but no, maybe it was Buster. No, college was actually allowed. Snake Park, shit. I haven't played Snake Park in like half a year. So Snake Park, name redacted, and cinema. I guess Buster Beach was also banned because that's always banned in Japan for some reason. So 4 stages were banned, and then you could ban 3 stages each. You took turns, you played rock, paper, scissors, you know. So it was a bit better, but it was not ideal at all. Like, you had a best of 1 against a random guy, and if you lost, then you're in loser's bracket for the rest of the tournament, you know. And there were 3 sections. Like, there were pool 1, then you moved on to pool 2, and then there was like top 32, which was like freaking intense, and then top 16. So you had to go like through loser's bracket for like eternity, you know, in a with best of 1s. So this was the setup for me, okay? So I got a few... Actually, yeah, I seen what you wrote there, Dart Remix, and the reason Buster Beach is banned, I asked the Japanese players about this, and they said that it's a... Oh, shit. They said that it's small and they don't like corners, so I think they actually specifically banned that because, you know, Pega was like owning the shit out of everyone. Yeah, okay, so that was the setup basically, and I was a bit tilted because, you know, I got that horrible feeling from the Twitch people. I got a few DQ wins in the beginning. I could watch Meow owning one guy, or several guys actually. He was doing really great in the beginning. Jor was filming one of them that we put up on our Twitter, which was really cool. He tri-bolted, charged tri-bolted Helix, and in the air he finished it off with like a Thunderbird rush, and the last hit like did it, and so he moved on. But so, in my bracket, there was basically one guy that I knew. It was a red-haired guy. I can't remember his name. And he was like the danger in my bracket. So I was like, yeah, maybe I'll make it through this bracket. But, you know, my dream of being a caster has already failed now, so I don't really care what happens. So that was like the mindset that I was in. So I think I won one match. I think I got 2 DQ wins, and then I won one match kind of fast against a Master Mummy player. And then I went up against this red-haired guy, and it was so... like, it still tilts me to this day, but... So I sat down at the admin said, okay, you'll play here, and the other guy will play there. I was like, okay, cool, I know. And so I just sat down and then practiced with the target range for about 10 minutes, just to get warmed up. And then it was like, okay, this guy is not coming, fucking hell, like, this is taking too long. So I just put my controller down and just like, okay. And then I stood up, talked to my girlfriend for a bit, who was with me. And then the guy showed up like a minute later, and I was like, okay, cool, let's play this. And so I sat back down and was going to play. We did the rock, paper, scissors, and, you know, we got into... I don't remember which stage it was, but we got into one of the stages. Oh yeah, it was like Spring Stadium. So we loaded into Spring Stadium. He's a Kid Cobra with Gusher and some other weapon. I just remember Gusher because it was weird. You know, I was like, okay, cool, I can totally beat this. Then when the game starts, my right punch is unbinded. I can't block on the left analog stick, and my rush button was unbinded. So I just started freaking out because it's a best of one, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? And everyone around me, like, nobody speaks English, like, of the admin team. So I was just looking at the admins and saying to him, like, the controller is... something is fucked up with this controller. And what had happened was that when I stood up, a tiny little shitty person had sat down and unbinded all of the buttons and then just walked away. So that like, I guess they wanted to practice there or something and had a weird setup. But that person just walked away, and I didn't think that they had enough time to rebind my keys. So I was freaking out at that point, and then I was like, I don't even want to play this. So I like didn't know what to do. So I put down the controller, and then the guy was just like finishing me off in that round. And then once, you know, that first round was done, I was like, what the fuck is this? So we paused the game, and I explained it through my girlfriend that, like, you know, someone has fucked up my controller. This is not okay. Then the admin made a, you know, on the spot call and said, well, okay, we'll just reload this, and then the other guy starts with 1 round and rush, and you have no rush. And I was so, like, there were so many people standing behind me, like 8 foreigners, and my, like my blood was boiling so hard, like, it was, oh, I just wanted to fucking punch the screen when that happened. And no, I didn't use, I used my own, I used their controllers, but the thing was that I had practiced on that setup for 10 minutes, and then left it for 1 minute, and then someone fucked it up, you know? So it wasn't that the controller actually had problems, it was that the person who sat there for 30 seconds unbinded the keys and left, you know? It was such a, like, how was I supposed to know that someone could do that, like, go between my shit in 30 seconds? So I was super tilted at that point, and we loaded in again, and since there were random stages, we got into Ninja College instead of Spring Stadium. And he got around, you know, got to start with a rush. And then the second round, I got down to Magic Pixel, and I was just like about to give up at that point. And then I somehow made a comeback. He had full health, and I had Magic Pixel, and I could come back. So we had a final round. But then that final round, we had like 20% health each, and both rushes, and then, you know, he won the rush exchange. So I got sent to loser's bracket, and I, like, I don't know. There was this, like, I was so angry and sad at the same time because of the shit, like, not at him, you know. I was saying sorry to him, like, I'm sorry, I'm angry, but it's not your fault. I was saying in Japanese, like, it's not your fault. I'm just angry at the controller. So that fucking sucked. And I was just, like, really sad at that point. So yeah, I got my next game was like right after that as well. So I was just like, I had no time to go outside and like breathe or some shit. It was just like, okay, well, I guess I like. I don't know. It just sucked because I know that like Resolve and Gore was standing behind me as well. So I was just like, fuck, everyone sees how bad I am. I know that I'm not a good player by any means, but it just sucks when you know that people are standing and watching that. So I had my next game against the Master Mummy, who it was really easy. I just beat him 2-0. And then the game after that, there was another Master Mummy who actually won against me. I think it was 2-1. I got really surprised. He was using Popper and Megawatt on DNA Lab, and he took a game. Like, he took a game of me. And that, like, you know, it's one of those feelings where, like, if this was a ranked game, I would probably lose to him the first time and then win against him the second time. But since there was a best of one, you know, I got eliminated from EVO, and so I became the lowest ranked foreigner at EVO because of that shit. So it really, you know, even though I know I'm not a good player, it really hurt my pride. So it took like maybe, I don't know, like 40 minutes before I could talk to people because I was just so ashamed of getting struck out so early compared to the others. But I tried to, you know, keep my spirits up and cheer on for Nobi, Meow, and Hanukkah, who were actually doing really good in the tournament. And they were all like, okay, every foreigner that we knew about went through the first pool. Then people started dropping off in the second pool. I mean, Nobi's wife actually went through the first pool, and she had just played for fun. So, you know, it really sucked that, like, like, I know people who didn't even play the game got through the first pool, and then, you know, I'm fucking devoting my entire life to this game, and I didn't even make it, you know? So yeah, that was fucking tough. Sorry, I'm getting like emotional now when I'm thinking about this shit, but it was really intense the entire day. Everyone was playing their games, and at one point, I think it was like the most like intense point was the games before the top 32, because in top 32 you had best of 3 suddenly, so it was like, oh, finally real rules, you know. And the games before top 32 in the second pool were so intense. Like, I didn't breathe when I was watching Meow play. I don't remember who knocked Meow out, but Meow was the first one in the Fellows in Arms people who got knocked out. And then, like, a minute later, Nobi gets knocked out. I was, like, looking at Meow here, you know, and then Nobi was, like, behind me. So I was, like, looking at both of their games at the same time. And then, like, Meow gets eliminated. I'm like, fuck! And then I, like, look back, and then Nobi gets eliminated, and I'm like, shit! And, like, all of the foreigners were getting eliminated at that point. It was just, like, left and right disappearing, and we were like, holy shit, is anyone even, like, you know, alive at this point? And then I think it was just, like, Poppy and Hanukkah left, besides, you know, what is it, Gore. Resolve got eliminated next to Meow as well, and that was so weird. Like, the player who eliminated Resolve, you know, Resolve is known to be kind of, you know, BM online, but he's okay offline. He was nice to talk to, and but he faced a Japanese player who had said to him that he is Dr. Coil main. He was the guy who played Misango and Dr. Coil against Gore. So in the Japanese community, he has the nickname like the little monkey because he's like freaking out a lot. I guess he's trying to make a show, you know. and so he won against Resolve, and you know, Resolve looked really tilted, and I get that. He had so much pressure on him to actually win this entire tournament with these fucked up rules. Oh, cool. Thanks for the follow, KO94. So Resolve got knocked out, and it wasn't that just that he got knocked out. The guy had told him on before, and yeah, I'm a Dr. Coil main. And then when they loaded into the best of one in losers bracket, he played Min with clapbacks. So Resolve got a bit tilted from that. And then when he lost against that, the guy screams, like really fucking loud, which was really annoying because Meow and Kujora was playing next to them, and both of them were like, oh shit, when he was screaming. So he screams, and then he's like, thank you, Resolve, I love you, wah! And then he takes up like a portrait of himself, like a framed portrait of himself through his pocket, and gives it to Resolve, and Resolve just stands there and is like, okay, like he looked so dumbfounded by that entire thing, and I was just like, what the fuck is this even? Like, what is this guy doing? Like, Jesus Christ, just, like, like, when, I don't know, I was just, like, so speechless when I saw that happen. I was like, because it's, like, a Japanese player, which normally are really good-mannered, and then there was just, like, when I lost and got eliminated by that Master Mami, I smiled, because the guy on the other side, he was, like, he looked like he was 15 or something. He got so happy, like he was shaking, and he was like, oh shit, I won! And I got so happy that I could make him feel that, So I was just smiling and said, Otsukaresama desu, good work, and then shaked his hand. And he was probably, feeling really happy because I was having, my jersey on. So he was like, oh my god, I beat a sponsored player, it was so good, and I didn't want to ruin that for him. But if he would have been screaming at me, I would have been like, okay, fuck dude, like, I don't, just go, get away from me. So that thing happened, and we were progressing through the polls, and then later during the evening we would have the finals, which would also be live streamed on Twitch, and then have 2 Japanese streams and 1 Chinese stream. Let me just get a drink first. Let me check chat as well. I'm babbling so much, but it's, yeah, that was Chateau, by the way. I don't know. Chateau and Abu, sorry. Abu is the guy that has kind of like he looks kind of like a host guy. He had a white shirt on, and he was in all of the Japan Grand Prix things. He was also like really, shouting, and like when he won, I think Abu won against a foreigner. He like stood up on his chair and was like screaming for like a full 5 seconds, and people were like, they were like, okay, this is hype, but holy shit, calm down, dude. Yeah, in Japanese, Devilman was his own self-nickname. Yeah, I think, like, if I would have run that tournament and, Chateau would have screamed like that, because I visibly saw how Kujora and Meow, like, both of them, who were, like, a meter away from him, both went, like, when he screamed, like, ah, both of them, like, shit, in the middle of a best of one, Yeah, and Abu was actually, like, he was in a bit further away on the Japanese stream, which was kind of separated, so that was a different thing, but everyone was sitting so close in the polls. So we progressed through the polls, and Nobi and Meow got knocked out, Resolve got knocked out, everyone got knocked out, TMO, S3, Tudorupa, Jor, like everyone. It was just like a fucking battlefield, people were just dying left and right, and I was just standing there in the middle with my camera like, no, survive, we need you for the top 8. And then I think the last one that I saw was Hanukkah and Poppy got 17th place, and they lost 1 match before the top 32 with the best of 3s. So Hanukkah lost his game too, and was really sad. Hey Meow, by the way. And then at that point I took a break because I was so exhausted from just like Hey, wait, did you did you resubscribe now? Yeah, and Nobi had been really nervous about his match against Gas Masks. We had been like specifically practicing for Gas Mask setup, you know. And then he faced him and lost, so he was like, we were all really sad, and it was really hard, like at that point. So we had, I think there was a couple of hours because the finals were. The polls ended so quickly because they were, you know, they were so shitty rules. Everything ended so quickly. So we had a couple of hours before the finals, and then when the finals started, it was freaking. While he drinks vodka, this is actually just like soda. Like there's a pear soda. Yeah, at least Nobi had his wife with him, so you know. And my girlfriend, like, you know, backed me up when I was there, which I was really happy about. I had 2 friends and my girlfriend there, so, you know, it was sad, but it was super stressful, the entire thing. Yeah, I could see that, Meow. I didn't want, I saw that you were feeling down, Meow, and I didn't want to, like, affect you anymore, because I know how hard it was for everyone. Oh, thanks, Ian. I didn't notice that you were here, but thanks. The VOD is going to be on YouTube afterwards, if you want to see it. So, moving on to the finals. Everyone had a break. We were super ecstatic. It was just like, holy shit. We sat down in front of the stage. We didn't think we would have a stage even. But then it was like, oh, fuck, we have a real stage with like, you know, 60 people in a crowd. And then the, you know... Oh shit, did I get a... Post? Oh, Spanish Vanguard. Cool. So the finals of EVO for ARMS began, and the production was so freaking hype, you know. People were introduced onto the stage, and we had Melieve, who was in the winners bracket, Kujora, and Gore was in the losers. I think there was another... There might have just been those 3, and there was foreigners. The rest was Japanese players. Pega was in the winners bracket, obviously. Ku was there too, and it was just really nice seeing all of these people there. And I at that point we had said hi to most of the Japanese players as well, so it was really cool to just see everyone on a stage. I like during the games, I don't know, I noticed, because I rewatched the English stream, they didn't actually have mics on the crowd, but we were freaking out at like every game. Like the crowd, even though we were like 60, we were making sound as we were like 200 people. So like in every game we were just like freaking out, and the cameramen were like, you know, trying to capture our reactions because we were like going so insane. When Gore was playing, we actually started like a USA chant. We were like, USA, USA. And then when Pega was doing stuff, they like whenever Pega is playing, they were chanting Kote, and Kote means emperor in Japanese. So his nickname is the Emperor because he's just winning everything in ARMS in Japan, basically. So when they had their final, it was just like, Japan versus the world, and people were like, USA, and then when he was winning, it was like, Kote, Kote, Kote. But I couldn't hear that at all in the English stream, which is a bit sad. It was just, it was weird. Oh, I saw that the USA chant made D1 nervous. Why did it make him nervous? Basically, if it was picked up, it wasn't as nearly as loud as we were trying to make it be. But yeah, so that thing was happening. D1 he's a really famous caster for Smash. He's been casting both Melee and Smash 4, and he casted ARMS at E3 and 2G offline event there. And DC is also a Smash caster. So, and that's okay, that's interesting that he, you know, got nervous about that. But that brings me to the next point, which is the casters of EVO Japan. I want to start by saying that D1 and DC did the best that they could with the resources they had. They don't play ARMS, but they got, you know, assigned to ARMS or accepted to cast ARMS, and then they did the best with what they had. I know that DC was saying stuff wrong, and D1 was actually trying really hard. When he came into the venue, the first time I saw him, now, like, he was walking like towards the Twitch area, and I saw him talking to Hanukkah, and Hanukkah was just like talking really fast to him. And then when I went up to him, Hanukkah was just like, okay, yeah, I've drilled D1 about like everything like in the community. Like, I've been trying to teach him everything about the community since I couldn't be the caster, or Hanukkah couldn't be the caster. We were like, fuck, we need to do something. And D1, it was actually really nice that he was interested enough to do that. He like, you know, wanted to do a bit better, at least, in the kind of stressful environment that he was in. So you could actually see that in the cast, because D1 has a phone in front of him on the table, and on that phone is actually a live chat for Hanukkah, and Hanukkah was writing to D1 everything. Like, he was telling him stuff about the players and trying to do, like, help him be knowledgeable. So when D1 did those shoutouts, and it was cool that he did, but those were written by Hanukkah, because Hanukkah, you know, was live feeding him shit about the community and saying, you know, oh, Redding Guard, talk about Redding Guard. These are the Max Brass players. Steelhead, talk about them. So D1 was actually, you know, he had this on his table in front of him, which it was just funny to me, and I was just like, god fucking damn it, if they just had coupled me with one of these guys, I could have told them this, definitely. And so that, like, the point with the casters is that, like, it got me really frustrated, because I had been trying so hard to be one of those casters, and then seeing these people who are, you know, obviously the Twitch crew wanted the famous players to wait up that the ARMS is not a famous game. Like, let's be real, they had, I think ARMS had like 6,000 to 8,000 viewers, which is, you know, cool for ARMS, but it's kind of bad for EVO. So I really understand it from a business perspective that they chose DC and D1, because that's like, oh, it's famous people, you know, we can bring in viewers from that. Smash players will be like, I don't give a shit about ARMS, but I'll watch it for D1 and DC. But for me as a caster and player myself, it just hurt seeing that, and, you know, seeing that they weren't, you know, educated about it, because, like, the thing is that they weren't hyping up the cool parts of the game. They can see a rush happening, they can see when someone is getting around, and then they can, like, make a story in their mind, but they don't understand the finer parts of, like, you know, some players were switching arms. Why were they switching arms? Why are they going to this stage? How are the, like, players feeling right now? Can you see it in the game? Like, I saw all of these things when I was seeing the matches, and I was like, fuck, this is so cool. And then I rewatched the stream, and they were just like, yeah, he did a punch, and it's like, yep, that's what you do in the game, you know. So they weren't hyping up those, like, really cool moments, like when Pega and Gore was, like, changing arms, and they were, like, starting to read each other, and, you know, Gore was going double Hydra, and then Pega was like, fuck it, I'll go Hydra as well. And they couldn't really explain those cool parts, especially not the stories of the players, because there was so much thing going, like, so many things that was going on in between these players, you know. Pega had been, like, he had been wanting to play Gore for, like, months. He knew about Gore. Gore had been, like, the player that had been, like, the chosen one, you know, to take the tournament, and they were fighting in the finals, and, you know, Melieve had been, like, backed by the community to go to Japan, like, some weeks before. Ku, he's, like, the most, and, like, he is the comeback king. Like, he's not one of the best players. He's definitely getting there, but he hasn't And like when he won the Japan Grand Prix, the last one, he had been trying in so many different sections before and lost in like semifinals, and now he finally won the last one, and he was there in top 8. It was like, oh, the storylines. It's like, it's so good shit. Like Kujora was there, like Melieve, Kujora, and Gore. They were the last foreigners to arrive to Japan. They arrived a day before EVO, so they were all jet lagged, and they were in top 8. It was like, you know, there were so many cool things that you could talk about in this, like about this community. Like the first time Japanese players were facing foreign players, it was like, oh my god, this is like a dream for me as a caster to like, I could have just, I could have talked about so many things to hype up the games. And you're saying, Hayat and Linkable, that people care about action and not the lore, but that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that you can use storylines in games to build hype. When people watch Smash, and, you know, when Zero was winning tournaments, it was like, he has a storyline of tournaments that he has been doing for several years, and that adds to the hype. ARMS has a very short story, but they have a lot of things that has happened, and we can use that, but we couldn't this time, because they don't have, the casters that was brought on didn't know about these things, which is a bit too bad, you know. So, yeah, basically the summary of EVO for me, like internally, is that EVO was a really shitty tournament rule set wise. It was really bad. Like, it got a bit better, like it got a bit saved during the you know, Twitter storm, but it was really bad, one of the worst ones. They did the best that they could with the shitty preconditions that they had. The community saved this tournament because it was so much love from the community they wanted this to be good, even though it was bad. People were so passionate in the top 8. Like, Ku was crying on stage. It was so beautiful, and the production was beautiful. Like, you didn't see the Japanese productions, but the Japanese casters were doing great too. They had Omega Pen, Porunga, and a third player that I actually don't know the name of. And Porunga was like professional. Like, I had no idea, but I looked up Porunga after EVO, and I noticed that he won the Tokyo Japan Grand Prix, and he has like 62,000 subscribers on YouTube, and he chooses to go with ARMS, you know. He isn't famous because of ARMS, but he loves ARMS. He's kind of like the Japanese Tentan, you know. He's passionate about the game even though he's famous, and he still gives back to the game. It was just so good, and he was so good at that. Yeah, so basically it was a shitty tournament. It was saved by the community, and it was saved by its production. And I think, you know, there's a lot of things to learn about this. I don't say that I hated the event, you know. I just think and hope that a lot of people can learn from this. So what does that mean? Like, what does this give us? EVO was like really good exposure opportunity for ARMS. There were so many people that were like, oh, I didn't even know that they had a competitive scene, or oh, I thought it was dead. And it changed, and it might actually be a hype wave that could give us something more, you know. Tokaigi is next week. For those who don't know, Tokaigi is a tournament that is in Shiba, Japan, which is an hour away from Tokyo, where Melieve, S3, Gore, and who was the first? Resolve, all are invited to play. So, you know, it's going to be awesome. But at the same time, Tokaigi, at least as we know it now, has also copied the original EVO rule set, and has also copied the Nintendo rule set, which means best of ones. So it's like, you know, EVO helped in one way, but maybe they also made it so Tokaigi was like, oh shit, we'll also use that rule set and fuck it up, you know. So I think this was really good for ARMS. I don't think this is the end for ARMS. Now people are looking at Smash and Splash and saying like, oh shit, the next big thing is going to be Smash and Splash or EVO in America. But I think it's going to be Smash and Splash. I think, like, I've even seen Japanese players tweet that they want to go to America now for Smash and Splash because of this. And we know that it's going to be good because Hanukkah is the TO of it. So, and I'm definitely going to be there. Scrimps is going to be there. We're going to try to get more people to go there, and if Japanese players start coming too, it's going to be insane. Another thing that I forgot to mention was, oh yeah, I can take one of these questions actually. I'll do an AMA in the end, but I think that EVO has a chance to. Or I think ARMS has a chance of being in EVO in America, but it's going to be difficult because you need a dedicated TO, and Hanukkah has already taken Smash and Splash. So if there's going to be EVO ARMS at EVO, there's going to be someone running it and contacting them, but there is none at the moment. So unless EVO specifically chooses to have ARMS, I don't think there's going to be ARMS at EVO. But there will probably be ARMS at the next EVO Japan, maybe. One thing that I forgot to mention was that we actually met Yabuki during the finals. Before the finals started, I saw him, coming, and I was, like, oh shit, it's him. So I went up to him and said in Japanese, like, could we take a picture? Is it okay? And then he just said, no, I'm busy. I was like, god damn it. But after the finals, we waited around and waited until his stream was offline, because they had 2 streams, one EVO and then one. I don't remember what the site was called, but it was a special site, Amoeba or something. So when his stream was done, he actually came to us. Like, he saw that we were there and just like waiting because we wanted autographs. But then he came up to us and he was like, hello. And everyone was just like frozen, like, oh shit. I think Yabuki knows a little English, but he doesn't speak it too well. But it was really like, everyone was so like hyped to see him. And then we were like, okay, they signed a couple of things. I think he signed like Hanukkah's GameCube controller and people's packages and stuff. And then someone was like, yeah, let's take a picture up on stage. And then, so we went up on this EVO Japan stage and we took a picture with him. And then people were just kind of like interacting with him, which was super cool. We were all so excited from screaming. And then he was excited for, he has been casting for a couple of hours. And so we all took turns of like saying hello and just like formally greeting each other and saying hello. And then, so when I went up to him, I just said, hello, and I think I said it in English. I wanted to say it in Japanese, but I said it in English because I was so nervous and exhausted. Hi, Replicant, by the way. And yes, we have to get something between Scrim Squad and Fellows in Arms if we meet up at SNS. But so when I said hi to him, I just said like, hi, I'm Dennis, or my nickname is Defur. And his response in English was, like completely exhausted. He just said like, I know you. I was just like, what? Okay, from where? And he's just like, I saw your stream. And when he saw that, I was just like, what? What have you seen? And did you see G7? And he said, yes, I saw your tournament. I seen your stream. I know who you are. And I just like, shit. Like, I just got so many, basically, Yabuki for me is I want to become a producer in games. Basically, that is like one of my dreams. So I've been looking up to Yabuki and for so long about how he's been working with ARMS. So when he said that, I I held back my tears so hard, like, because it was so cool to hear that. I just got too happy. So I was like, oh shit, I'm not gonna cry here. So I just like went away from the group and then just like started crying because it was too much. But it was awesome. But apparently I found out afterwards that he kind of knew a lot of people there, and he had actually been watching the entire G7 tournament. So that was super cool. So he might actually be watching streams, and people from Nintendo in general, you know, which was really cool to hear. So the last part of this stream is that I wanted to talk about the game bar that was the day after. So the game bar was an event that we were going to have at a game bar, which is basically that in Tokyo they have bars where you can go in and you can drink, you know, alcohol, non-alcohol, and then you can play games in front of TVs. So the Japanese TOs, Calm and Gengen, they had you know, gotten people together for this game bar event, and yeah, you could be there if you weren't above 20, which is the drinking age in Japan. They just won't serve you alcohol, so no, Meow didn't get drunk. So we had that event, and the plan was that we were going to have a tournament there, because to compensate for the shitty rule set that they had at EVO. But when we got there, I think we were 50 people, and in this like basement, we couldn't take any pictures there. We weren't allowed to, and in general, Japanese people and players, they don't want to have their pictures taken and uploaded on the internet. So we, like, you know, we couldn't really take pictures. But we were going to try to have a tournament down there with like in this basement area with like 15 people. There was just 2 big rooms, and everyone was just playing. There was like 20 setups of arms, and people were sitting on the floor and playing friendlies with each other. It was like the best thing I've seen ever, because there was like, even though people didn't speak English or Japanese, they could talk with each other through the game. So they were just like, you know, I saw Ku playing against a lot of people, and they were just like, oh shit, oh, you did a really good thing there, and you can understand that even though you can't understand the language, you know. So that was really good. We were trying to get the tournament up, but they had some problems with the stream and couldn't get it sorted. So I was just like sitting there and being stressed out because I wanted to show you guys the tournament. And after about like 1 or 2 hours, you know, it was getting late, and the bar is only open to like 12, and it was, you know, already 9, and I was like, shit. And then they had this crew battle between Japanese players and people from the outside of Japan. That was just like best of 1, you know. If you lose, you get eliminated. The person that wins stays. And they told me about this like when the crew battle was starting, so I was like, oh shit. And then I tried to set up my stream. I was able to stream a few games of that, and then afterwards I think there was like a exhibition match between Peg and Rizal, which was really cool. They also had an exhibition match against Porunga, the Tokyo champion, and Kojora, which is actually up on YouTube. Like the entire thing was filmed by Porunga. He had like one of his cameras with him, so I really recommend to check that out. I can actually link that if anyone wants that. I can link that to you. I think I saw... Oh yeah, I can take the questions after this, but yeah, so things got late, and then the streams weren't going up, so basically they just said, like, we can't have this tournament, and I was like, fuck. Like, this was the one thing that I wanted to have after EVO to, like, compensate for it, and I couldn't show you guys for it, so I was just sitting in a corner being sad. You know, I couldn't... Fuck, I couldn't get far in... I couldn't be the caster at EVO. I couldn't get far in the pools. The Fells in Arms people couldn't make it to top 8. I couldn't help in any way. And then I couldn't, like, stream the tournament at the bar. So I was just like, fucking hell, man. everything that I tried to do just failed. So that sucked. I know a lot of people had really fun at the actual game bar. Yeah, at least Jabuki noticed me. But yeah, people had a lot of fun at the game bar, and I think it was really cool. People were like lining up to play against Nobi because they were like, they've heard about him. So oh cool, I got another. Who'd that be? Oh, Gasaway. I thought you were already following. Thanks anyways. Yeah, so you know, for me personally, I'm okay with what happened. You know, ARMS was a part of why I went to Japan. I went there to be with my girlfriend, and I went there to visit my friends, and EVO was one of those things. So, like, you know, shoutouts. There's a lot of shoutouts to the community in like that needs to be had. It's hard to list everyone, but especially like Gengen and Calm, who were the two guys who made the Tokyo Game Bar and actually got everyone else together at the bar at the end after EVO. They did a lot for the community. Purunga, like, he was such a great host in the Japanese stream, so I'm really, you know, that was really awesome. Every player that went there, it was just awesome to meet everyone and hang out with people. I think you saw bits and pieces of it on Twitter, but it was really awesome. We had a final night where we just went, like us and the Fellows in Arms team, we went to eat together, and some people went to drink together, and then we went to an arcade, and then we said, you know, had our final goodbyes. It was awesome, like just meeting everyone. I loved it. So I like, if ARMS is at EVO next year, that will be, you know, an annual thing for me to go to Japan. I have other stuff that I want to do in Japan too, so you know, all in all, that's everything that I wanted to talk about concerning EVO. As for Fellows in Arms, we have a couple of projects that are coming up, but it's like too early to announce anything, but we have plans. I'm going to be at Smash and Splash, but we're not sure who is going to be there right now. And if anyone has like any questions to me, you can just like write it here now in chat and like ask me anything about what happened. I'll just read through the chat a bit. Someone was asking if Pineapple will go to Smash and Splash, and that's one of the parts of the, you know, our plan to get to SNS. We'll announce something hopefully later this month. I think, yeah, Hanukkah is confirmed to go there, and I'm confirmed to go there from Fellows in Arms right now. But, you know, we'll announce things about those things. Actually, I'm gonna see, because I had something from Osrim here. Oh yeah. So, wait, let me... Can I fucking... Sorry. Got some questions here from Osrim. Did you meet any Japanese players that you did not know before but are now close with or friends with or whatever? So, one of the players that... Oh, Formal Cat is confirmed. Sorry. And no, Gasway. No one can join Fellows in Arms right now. But did you meet any new Japanese players that you didn't know before? So, besides meeting Ku, which was really cool, I'd been talking a lot with Ku ever since I got, you know, contact with him in this autumn. It was really cool to meet him. I also finally got to say hi to Chinyaku, which is a Japanese streamer. She's really funny, especially if you know a bit of Japanese. She's just so crazy when she streams. Yeah, we were asking her because Shin Yaku means like, it basically means Shin Shin and Yakuza, which basically means Dick Yakuza. So that's her nickname. So I just think she's really funny. I also got to talk a bit with Calm and Gengen. Gengen is the kind of the caster from the ARMS community in Japan, which is really cool. Calm is the TO of all the online tournaments. And Porunga, who was also, he was actually talking with me during EVO, which was really cool. He, like, even though he doesn't speak English, he was like, hey man, this guy in the bracket, you should watch out for him because he's really good at this. How are you feeling, by the way? Yeah, and Chinyaku was the one who was screaming at the bar. That's what she does when she streams as well. So I don't think there was any new person that I kind of interacted with that was like now a friend. It's just like I finally got to meet the people that I've been talking to in that way. Chances at ARMS at EVO World. I think I said that before, but I think it's going to be a small chance right now. If the poll that Shoryuken had the other day doesn't really mean anything, except that it like shows our passion, which is really cool. But if they do, I'm not probably gonna be able to make that because it's too expensive to go to America twice. And okay, so okay, just reading through the questions here. What's your opinion on the growth of ARMS? I think the opinion of the growth of ARMS, I think it's going to be really good. I think being at EVO finally made it sound legitimate, you know, for people who are not interested in ARMS. Like Street Fighter players were just like, what the fuck is this game? But it has been at EVO now, and it's been one of the main games, so they have to kind of accept that it's there, you know. I think we have to see. I think Japan, like the thing that I got surprised of is like how big the Japanese community are. I think a lot of people were, me included, were expecting Japanese players to be worse than Western players, but they're actually really good. And the fact is that Japan has so many players. You know, in Europe, if you go up to rank 20, or in America, if you go up to rank 20, you know every player. In Japan, there's too many players. Like, there's so many players that they actually have a really stable, good meta there. So if they can keep supporting their own community and get to events, I know that they were trying to go to, what was it called? There was another event called KVO or something. They were trying to get ARMS there as well. So if they can pull that off, I think it's going to like spill over to America. As for Europe, I'm not sure. Like if England can ensure some events, then we might be seeing some stuff. If we see ARMS at Gamescom this year, I have good hopes, but it's too early to tell. Did you ask a Japanese player why Buster is always banned? I did before I went to Japan, and it's because it's small and it has a lot of corners and people are afraid of Pega. That's the short version. What's the most memorable moment when you met the FIA team? I met them in different parts. So I met Nobi at EVO actually, and then I met Meow and Hanukkah. I met Hanukkah like 4 or 5 days before EVO, and then Meow some day before EVO. So I first met them all together when we were there. But I think the most memorable moment for me with Fellows in Arms, besides actually like, you know, supporting and cheering each other at EVO, was that the final day we had a dinner together. It was really fast. We only had like an hour to eat because there was like reservations and stuff, but it was just really nice for me to see like Nobi, a Chinese guy living in Canada, Meow from Pakistan, and Hanukkah from America, and me from Sweden, like sitting in around a table and eating, and just like, holy fuck, man, shit, I'm gonna get emotional, but I gathered those players, you know, in one way. So that made me really happy, just seeing everyone at one place. But yeah, I think there might not be any more questions. So that's probably gonna be it for this stream. I'm super happy that I got to talk about this and that you guys tuned in for this. EVO was really big for everything, so it was nice that it happened. So now it's time to look forward to other things. Tokaiga is next week. Winter Brawl is this month as well. SNS is in June, so you know, let's look forward to that together, everyone, and have a nice day, night, or evening, depending on where you live. And stay tuned for more Fellows in Arms projects. We're going to announce them pretty soon. No one from Fellows in Arms will be at Winter Brawl, unfortunately. But it will be nice to see everyone being there. Yeah. But thank you guys, and I'll see you more soon. I don't know what I'm be doing next, but you know, follow us on Twitter if you haven't. And see you around. Bye bye.
いやー、やっぱり EVO Japan はめっちゃ楽しかったですね。お疲れ様皆さん。また会いましょうよ。そしたらサブスクライブしてください。またね。